Hey there YouTubers, and welcome to DidgieTalks. The last video I did was on 20.4.1, where really the main updates were the new game, Beach Buggy 2 Racing, and some changes to the menu to pull up your applications. So I've since then received 20.4.2, and there were no additional release notes, and there's very little I can find in terms of what that really did. So in some cases I think I've been told it fixed some bugs. I think it must have been some pretty important bugs it was fixing, because it came out so soon after .4.1. So it's something they wanted to get out there, and they pushed out to a lot of people. I'll put a graphic on the screen of how the distribution of users against software versions is running at the moment. Incidentally, I get this graphic from Stats, from Tesla Stats application on my phone. It's a great application. I used two applications, mainly the Tesla app and the Stats app, and I couldn't recommend the Stats app enough. It's fantastic if you like a little bit of data, but you want it presented in a way that's easy to absorb. So yeah, so I thought what I would do today is just really do a quick drive and put in AutoPilot and see if anything's changed. I'm taking a route back from the meeting I've just had, so it's a journey that I don't know, it's a route that I don't know, which I find is always the best way to test AutoPilot. Yeah, well, let's get going. So I've got my sat-nav configured, I know where I'm going. I am going to stop at a supercharger on the way, so that's always fun. But in the meantime, let's get moving. So on these roads, let's engage AutoPilot now. And as usual, on these sorts of roads, nice easy straight roads which are well marked, not too windy and twisty, AutoPilot's great. And I'm not going to waste too much time for you on this video. I'll speed up the bits where AutoPilot is just doing what it does best, which is just handle these sorts of roads. And I'll really tune in on or focus in on those areas where I think AutoPilot has done something unusual or odd or particularly good. So we'll try and cover the lot. So I'll keep it brief. This is my update for 20.4.2, and I hope you enjoy it. Whoa! So we're on an unmarked road, and the car is doing its best to stay on the left-hand side and keep in the lane. I think it's using the different colour of the join in the middle of the road as a marker, but that was just a really heavy braking. Fortunately, there's nothing behind me. I already checked. But that was really heavy braking, false positive. The truck coming the other way obviously caused the car some concern, but you know, there's still some of those false positives in there which we could really do without. But again, this is beta software, so I know they're still developing a lot of that. And again, I guess it's better to err on the side of caution and be careful. But you know, that aggressive braking with a false positive, you know, can potentially cause some problems. But apart from that, the car's handling the lack of road markings really well. I'm going to come off now because I'm at a roundabout. Okay, so it got confused with the lines there and started pulling me out into the oncoming lane. Not good, so I had to take over. But as always, you've got to be vigilant, you've got to be ready to do these things. So yeah, there's a little bit of an example of where AP is not quite doing what you'd want it to do. We certainly wouldn't want to pull into the oncoming lane. So there's a car coming up on my inside and the line's gone red. So okay, so it's seeing cars coming up on my inside, catching me up. Not fast, but fast enough for AutoPilot to say that it's not safe to turn in. So it's still saying it wants me to turn in, but it's not safe to do so. So that's okay, that's cool, I can live with that. So it's still saying it wants to turn in, it's still red, car's pulling out. Let's see what it thinks. Another car coming up on the inside. So okay, alright, so it's doing as you would expect. It's saying that you could do something, but it doesn't suggest you do because it's not safe to do so. So I'm not sure why these cars are all overtaking me on the inside. I'm not travelling any slower than the cars in front, but it is what it is. So let's go with it. So okay, it's still suggesting I turn in. into the inside lane, and the cars in front are pretty close. So there you go, it's actually saying it's not safe again. Alright, well I've got it set on medium at the moment, not Mad Max, so it's going to be looking for gaps that are a reasonable size, but not ones that are super tight. So so far so good. So even in these conditions, just the stuff that AutoPilot is actually really good at, these kind of well marked dual carriageway motorway lanes, it just feels smoother. It just feels like it's more settled and is not adjusting the steering as much. So, you know, even the tiny movements that were there before seem to be smoother. Yeah, I really can't put my finger on it, but I think it's actually doing a better job in general right now. And so far the brief tests I've done with Navigate and AutoPilot have also resulted in what you would expect, what you would hope. So we'll keep it up, we'll see what we can find. So one of the things I'm watching for here is the AutoPilot seeing the adjacent lanes, seeing the markers in the adjacent lanes. On a few occasions coming through this very spot with previous versions, it wasn't seeing the lanes as much. It was seeing just the lane you were in, it wasn't seeing the adjacent lanes, and I thought that was a step back, and I've commented on it a few times. Here you see the lanes disappeared. There's clearly cars in it. There's clearly a lane there, and the markings are all pretty good, so why it's not seeing that lane, but then it sees it again. Okay, so, you know, maybe that's still a little bit flaky, but again, I think it's better than it was. I think it's showing an adjacent lane a little more often than it was in a previous version. So maybe that was an issue that they've sorted out. It showed 3 lanes there, which is the exit ramp as well. And then again it's missing the lane, but then there was a lorry in the way. And now the lorry's gone, it's seeing the lane. Okay, I really think that it's actually seeing adjacent lanes better than it was seeing before. Down this particular stretch of road before, it was very flaky, but now it seems a little better. Again, I can't really put my finger on it. It's so it's not as objective or scientific as I would hope or as I would like, but yeah, I think it's better. Okay, and then it lets me down because it shows 3 lanes. I know 2 lanes and then 1 lane. Okay, so maybe it is still a bit flaky, but yeah, I still think it's better. I still think it's seeing the lanes more than it was before. So sorry that's not more scientific, but it just feels better. Being held up from our top speed by other traffic. And it sees the car on the left of me as being too close to me or in my lane, and it's holding me back. So I'm having to push the throttle now to get past the car on the inside. Now maybe that's a safety feature. The car was overtaking on the inside and then getting a bit close. Again, if you're seeing this, if you're seeing the car, see cars on the inside as being too close and therefore not letting you pass them when you're in the outside lane, that's something I've noticed a few times. Please leave a comment, let me know if you've seen that same thing or not. Something else I've noticed is the cars in the opposite lanes or the other lanes, they don't seem to be jumping around quite as much. And again, I don't have anything absolutely scientific to say whether it's more or less, but yeah, I mean, that was something that used to bug me, really, was the cars jumping around and dancing around, and they really don't seem to be doing it quite so much. So maybe that's another improvement they've made to the visuals. I'll end this video on something just a little bit different or out of the norm. So this will demonstrate AutoPilot performing an auto exit, so indicating, turning, and then indicating and turning again for a second exit in quick succession. So let's have a look. There you go, indicates, turns me off, takes me down the slip road, and then there's another exit just coming up. It's indicating early, then it stopped, and then it's going to indicate again and take me off. There you go. So just a quick update on 2019.20.4.2. I have noticed that there's a completely new version out in the wild, which I think has got something to do with Sketchpad, but we'll have to wait and see. I hope that was useful and informative. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you didn't, please leave a dislike, but do let me know what it is that you didn't like and what I could improve. I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see the new videos as they come out. Thanks for watching and take care.